Okay, let's start with a feeling. I have a feeling you know this one. It's that really deep, profound exhaustion, the kind that gets right into your bones, behind your eyes. And yet, for the life of you, you just cannot stop moving. You finally maybe collapse on the couch or into bed, but your mind, it doesn't slow down. It actually speeds up. It's like replaying arguments from last week or rewriting some email you already sent or frantically rehearsing something you need to say tomorrow.
Hmm. It's that exact moment, isn't it? The body is screaming, stop, but the mind just digs its heels and, no, keep going.
And often, yeah, if the mind isn't racing, the hand is. Scrolling, just down, down, down on the phone. It's not even about finding anything anymore, is it? It's because if you stop scrolling, if that external noise stops, something internal might, surface, something heavy, a feeling you pushed down days or, gosh, maybe even years ago. Yes, that right there, that's the heart of it, isn't it? And the most striking part, for me anyway, is this terror. The idea that stopping, just being still, means being totally alone with yourself. And when you're already feeling depleted, running on empty, facing that raw self, it feels like the very last thing you can handle. It honestly feels dangerous.
Well, it feels dangerous because, in many ways, we live in a world, a culture, that's almost designed to stop that contact from happening. We've built things up brick by brick, screen by screen, specifically to keep us moving, so we don't have to feel what's underneath all that.
Yeah.
That busyness. We somehow learn along the way that stillness is risky, that silence is heavy, that being alone is, maybe unbearable.
And we get really, really good at avoiding that hollow feeling, the echo of our own presence. We just fill it up.
We do. We fill it with noise, with tasks, screens, endless words, work, worry, really anything that keeps the momentum going.
Yeah.
So this deep dive, what we're exploring here, it's an invitation, really, to look at that avoidance, not as some kind of flaw, right? But maybe as a really loyal survival strategy. And we're asking this quiet, maybe kind of radical question. Who are you, actually, when you're not performing? Not fixing things, not explaining yourself, not trying to please everyone.
Okay, let's unpack some of those specific ways we avoid things, because they get so ingrained, don't they? They feel like just who we are, part of our personality, not a defense. For me, I see it so clearly in conversations. You know that thing where someone's talking and you're nodding along, smiling, saying, "Oh yeah, totally, I get it." But inside, you're not really hearing them. You're already busy drafting your reply. You're perfect, smart, maybe witty, come back.
The internal rehearsal room. Yes. You're calculating how to sound, maybe agreeable, maybe intelligent. But what's really happening underneath, you're calculating how to avoid the pause, that awkward silence. Because that silence, that space between words, feels terrifying. It asks for vulnerability. And vulnerability, that's where the old stuff lives, the old wounds. It's where you might have to stop planning and just be there with the other person and with yourself.
And we're sort of taught that planning, that calculation is essential. If I don't fill the space, if I don't have my response ready, maybe I'll be judged. Or maybe worse, I'll feel that weight, my own kind of inadequacy.
And this constant filling, this performing, it's exactly what leads to that feeling you mentioned earlier, that hollowness.
Yeah.
Even when on the outside, everything looks great, successful. Think about Maria's story, highly productive, lots of friends, seemed great. But inside, empty. Like she was watching her own life happen from across the street.
Wow, numb through sheer velocity.
Yeah.
I see that too. Those constant tiny shifts, like she'd finish a huge project meeting and boom, before the Zoom window even closed, her inbox was open. Or maybe lying in bed next to her partner who's asleep, but she's still scrolling, needing that little flicker of light, that distraction, because putting the phone down meant facing maybe a really deep, difficult loneliness that was right there.
She was avoiding what was present.
Yeah.
Right there with her. And this is the tricky part about emotional avoidance, isn't it? What you avoid, it doesn't just vanish, it accumulates. It doesn't keep a neat logbook. It collects in the body, in the way you breathe. That low-grade irritability you can't explain. Or those sudden tears during a sappy commercial that make no sense.
It turns into this background hum, persistent, like an emotional backlog we just keep refusing to process.
Exactly. And that hum, eventually, it gets loud. It gets loud enough that it demands your attention. We saw this with David, right? High-flying corporate type. Hadn't really paused in, 3 years? Not after his dad died. Not after a huge promotion. Everything was just fine. Until suddenly it really wasn't. He had this massive panic attack. It seemed to come out of absolutely nowhere.
Why panic specifically? What is it about a panic attack? Why does the body choose that way to revolt?
Because the body is incredibly wise. It's a brilliant system, really. It knew David could push through exhaustion. He could ignore low-level sadness or grief. but suddenly not being able to breathe, that sheer terror of physical collapse. That he couldn't ignore. His body literally forced the pause he wouldn't choose for himself. So the panic attack, it's not a failure, it's not a sign of weakness, it's more like a desperate invitation from a self. The system saying, hey, you're moving too fast to actually live. Stop, please stop, and let me help you integrate what you've been leaving behind. It's like an SOS signal.
I really appreciate that reframe. Seeing the breakdown not as failure, but as this kind of desperate protective act.
And when we look at these defenses, the scrolling, the rushing, the performing, we have to try and see them as what they are. Ancient protection. Loyal even. They interrupt the natural, healthy flow of experience. You know, that cycle. Feeling a sensation, becoming aware of it, taking some action, making contact, and then withdrawing to rest and integrate.
So the interruption kicks in right at that edge, right before real contact, when things might get vulnerable.
Precisely. We interrupt our own rhythm to feel safe, or what we think is safe. And we use these very specific, often unconscious strategies to do it.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to recognize some of these in myself now, and I bet you are too, listening to this. Like, take the one we sometimes call swallowing emotion. You feel real anger rising, or maybe deep sadness welling up, and before you even put a name to it, you divert that energy. You suddenly dive into a massive to-do list, or decide right then to start a strict new diet, or you intensely reorganize your entire closet.
That's a classic example of retroflection. Turning the energy back on yourself, inward, instead of letting it move outward into healthy expression or action. It's like, imagine holding a lid down tight on a pot of boiling water with all your might, instead of letting the steam escape through the valve. Think of Sarah. Remember her story. Debilitating stomach aches, but doctors found nothing wrong. Every time she felt something tender or a conflict arose, she'd take a deep breath to reset, she called it, and then just plunge back into work. Her body was screaming, basically, manifesting physical pain because she wasn't allowing her internal system to digest her actual feelings.
Wow. So she was quite literally holding her emotions in her gut. That grounds the idea powerfully.
And then there's kind of the opposite strategy, right? The person who has to fill every single gap in a conversation, like Amir, you know, the super charismatic, funny guy, the glue in the group, always ready with a quick story or a joke.
He seems so comfortable, so at ease, but I'm guessing he's actually working pretty hard under the surface.
He is, constantly. That's often deflection. Avoiding direct, maybe quiet contact with the other person, or even the feeling in the room by constantly throwing out noise jokes, stories, questions. Maybe Amir learned somewhere along the line that silence equals judgment, or maybe abandonment. So he keeps talking, keeps performing to make sure the focus stays external, stays on him in a controlled way, keeps people engaged. But the cost? He rarely, if ever, lets himself just be met, as he truly is, only as the performer.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Both strategies, turning inward or projecting outward, they both keep us kind of safely skimming the surface, right?
Yeah.
But if the body is, as you say, the ultimate ally here, the one that never lies, what are the signals? What are the physical cues we should maybe start tuning into when we realize we've interrupted ourselves again?
Oh, the body is relentlessly honest. Even when our words are, maybe not. If your jaw is always tight, clenched, often those are the words you swallowed down, the things you didn't let yourself say. Shoulders tight, up around your ears, that's often carried weight. Responsibility, maybe unspoken burdens, a heavy feeling in your chest like it's armored, could be unfelt grief, or maybe a fear of vulnerability, of tenderness, and shallow breathing. So common. That's often a fear of feeling the full depth, the intensity of your own life. The body is holding it all, everything you haven't fully processed, and it's patiently, persistently asking, when? When will you pause with me?
So the challenge isn't really to analyze this internal storage locker, is it? It's more just to listen. But how do we even start listening without immediately trying to fix whatever we find? That's the hard part for me.
We simply make contact. We offer our presence, gently. Let's try just a tiny practice. Right now, for you and for anyone listening who feels open to it, just gently place one hand on your chest and the other on your belly. And just slow down your breath for a moment. Breathe gently into your hands, just feeling the rise and fall. Nothing more.
Okay, I'm doing that. I can feel. Yeah, there's a little tension I hadn't noticed right between my shoulder blades, and my first instinct is immediately like, roll my shoulders back, stretch it out, make it go away.
See, the fix-it instinct.
Yeah.
Just for this moment, don't fix the tension, don't judge the feeling, just breathe into your hands. And maybe ask silently, gently, what are you holding for me right now? You're not looking for some big answer or diagnosis, you're simply making contact. It's like saying, okay, I'm here. I'm listening to this part of me that's trying to communicate.
It's amazing how quickly even that tiny moment of contact brings up resistance.
Yeah.
My mind instantly goes to, if I really pause, I'll fall apart, or I'll just realize how empty I actually am. Or the really practical fear kicks in, I'll fall behind, I don't have time for this.
And that fear, it's wise, it's ancient, we absolutely honor it, it has kept you safe in many ways, but we also have to gently hold the counter-truth alongside it. The cost of not pausing is ultimately much higher. It costs us our aliveness, our creativity, our ability to genuinely connect with others, and yeah, fundamentally our sense of self.
Okay, but what about the practical stuff? Like if I take a sacred pause while my boss is breathing down my neck for a report, I might actually lose my job. How do we balance this inner work with real-world demands?
That's a crucial point. The pause doesn't have to be a weekend retreat or an hour of meditation. Not at first, anyway. It can be 10 seconds. Seriously, 10 seconds before you open that urgent email. It can be one single intentional breath before you react in a tense meeting. The pause isn't this vast, empty chasm waiting to swallow you. Think of it more as a sacred space, a tiny clearing where you can finally ask without any agenda, okay, what is actually alive in me right now?
That reframes it completely. It's not about stopping everything. It's about creating a tiny space where maybe reaction can shift into response, where that heavy internal voice of I should might finally soften into the simple, honest truth of I feel.
Yes, that transformation, that shift, that is digestion, emotional digestion. It reminds me of Marie again, her breakthrough. She finally allowed the grief for her mother to surface 5 years later, not by trying to fix the sadness or get over it, but just by meeting it fully. Letting it be there, and that meeting, that allowing, it let the energy finally move, transform. That's what completion can feel like.
So completion isn't like checking something off a list. It's more about being fully present with a feeling or an experience until its energy is allowed to naturally settle and move through you.
Beautifully put. It's what Leo discovered too, remember? He was always rushing towards later, waiting for the next promotion, waiting for the vacation, waiting until the kids were older. He was never actually arriving in the moment he was in. When he started practicing just small pauses, tiny moments of checking in, he gradually stopped waiting for some mythical later, and he started, bit by bit, living now.
So this whole deep dive into the pause, it's not really about becoming some better, shinier, more relaxed version of yourself. It sounds more like it's about finally meeting the version that's already here, underneath all the doing.
It's a return to your own inherent rhythm, a restoration of contact with yourself. And maybe the ultimate truth here is this. The pause isn't the absence of sound or activity, it's the presence of you and the silence. It's not empty, it's actually incredibly full.
Wow, that shift. Going from that constant heavy pressure to perform to maybe the liberation of just being present. That takes immense courage, quiet courage. It's really hard to do, let's be honest, in a world that just rewards speed above almost everything else. But the underlying message here feels so profound. You're not broken, you're just a human being. Learning, maybe finally, how to be present with yourself.
And what waits for you on the other side of that quiet courage?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily easy answers or fixes, but maybe beautiful, alive questions. Perhaps the most provocative invitation we can offer you today as we wrap up is this one. What parts of myself have I unknowingly abandoned along the way? And how might I begin to welcome them back home?
That feels like the real homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the invitation is, if you feel overwhelmed or numb or just full of feelings you can't quite name, just pause, even for a breath. Not to fix it, not to analyze it into the ground,
Yeah.
but just to be with it for a moment.
Exactly. The silence. It isn't waiting to swallow you. It's not the enemy. It's waiting patiently to hold you. Welcome home to yourself,
You too.
to that space between breaths.